I swear to God, Summerween's gonna become a thing. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm seeing constant memes of people waiting for Halloween, waiting for the aesthetic. People who can't wait for Halloween stores to open. And yet a few years ago, we were criticizing society for starting holidays too early. Things were getting too commercial. We don't know what we want. Anyways, I do have a taste for thriller films. I've acquired a taste for horror films, and I'd never actually seen Beetlejuice before, and I really wanted to check it out. I really enjoyed it. Thing is, I was not expecting the story I got. The only thing that I know, going in, I knew Beetlejuice and Lydia Deetz. I thought the movie was going to be about those two. I'm not going to say the title character's name a third time. But that's what I thought I was going to get going, and especially because I'd seen a lot of stuff with the animated series, I'd seen a lot of fan art of those two. I think Lydia Deetz especially was a breakout character who really made Winona Ryder this huge star. I love Winona Ryder. I actually had the same thing going with Edward Scissorhands. I was not expecting the story I got. When I watched Edward Scissorhands for the first time, the only thing I knew going into it was the image of Edward Scissorhands. So I was expecting a thriller or a horror film and got this really sweet, fluffy story. I got that here too. It almost seemed like a pretty generic kind of a story. Oh, these old, also very fairy tale-like, these really sweet owners, the Maitlands, one of whom played by Alec Baldwin. Didn't know about that. Didn't recognize him at first. I'm so used to him with black or gray hair. They die. They can't leave their home. They're ghosts. They have a book for the recently deceased, not the recently diseased, as was misread in the film. And an unpleasant couple moves in. They try to scare them away, to no success. I like the twist that whenever they try to scare them away, the Deetzes ended up loving it, and they try to get the ghost to do parlor tricks for their guests, try to make money off of it. That was a funny idea. They have this sequence to the Banana Boat song. I think the thing I really like about this film is that it mixes light and whimsy with dark and gothic really, really well. My favorite stuff is like that. The Wizard of Oz has something very similar. The Wizard of Oz is light and whimsical on the surface, but it also has this very dark, brooding undercurrent, whereas this film is very dark and gothic on the surface, but it's very light and fluffy when you get down to what the story really is. Because as much as death is talked about in this film, suicide quite a bit, it's really a story about appreciating the life you have and working together and adapting to new situations. I really, really like that. Again, that, like I said, with stuff like The Wizard of Oz, whether it's light and fluffy on the surface, dark underneath, or dark on top, light underneath, I like that mix. I love stories like that. And this one, I'd say I really like this aesthetic. I like the creative visuals. I like the effects. The snake that appeared on a lot of creepy moments from your childhood lists. I thought it was awesome. I loved the design. I liked the practical effects. I liked how it moved. It was enjoyable. Same thing with that sandworm. That was cool and surreal. Again, it felt a little bit like Haunted Mansion. At least the look of it. Again, it's full of emo kid purples. That's the association I personally have. Overall, though, it's really cool to see how the families do come together. Normally, in fairy tale-esque stories, the step-parents or the unpleasant characters get their comeuppance. And while that does happen, they find a way to adapt. The two families end up finding a way to adapt and work together. And that's definitely done through Winona Ryder's character, Lydia. I think that's a really, really cool spin on things that, yeah, the new owners may be annoying, and they're nosy and they're unpleasant and they're rude. But they end up accepting the strangeness, and the main characters, who are a very cute, loving couple, they learn to adapt to the changes, and they become a second set of parents for Lydia, which is so cute because she's very neglected. Definitely very emo kid. I know it was goth at the time. I love her outfits. Those are so creative. I'd say the biggest star of this show are the visuals and this world. I love the world building, the creative spin they have on death, and the cool journey that these characters take. You know, it's not twist heavy, but I do think they do a few new things with this fairy tale-esque setup. Like I said, its unique views on death, the two families coming together, the unpleasant characters adapting, the pleasant characters adapting, to create this really, really cool, unique, very likable film. Beetlejuice.